When Stephen Miller went on television yesterday and said Donald Trump has plenary authority, it wasn't a planned talking point. It was a mistake, a slip of the tongue, if you will. And he knew it the second he said it. That phrase isn't political language, it's legal. It means power without limits or oversight, the kind of phrase you'd expect in a constitutional law seminar, not a TV interview. And as soon as it left his mouth, he froze. Everything about his body language communicated, oh, fuck. I've seen that look on many a student's face. He sat there, eyes blinking, his body rigid with the anchor calling out his name. It wasn't a glitch, as they claimed after the commercial break. Everyone watching it could see. That was the look of someone who realized they said the quiet part out loud. That single word, plenary, it matters because it reveals how far our system of government has shifted. In theory, the Constitution divides power. Congress makes the laws, the president enforces them, and the courts interpret them. No one branch is supposed to dominate the other. That balance was meant to protect us from tyranny. But in practice, every national crisis has chipped away at it. Lincoln claimed emergency powers during the Civil War. FDR expanded the presidency during the Great Depression. After 9/11, Bush claimed sweeping authority under the banner of national security. Congress usually let it happen. Each time, the office of the president grew a little stronger, the limitations on its power a little weaker. Then came the Supreme Court's decision in Trump versus the United States last summer, the ruling that made those expansions of power permanent. The court declared that a president has absolute immunity for actions tied directly to his constitutional powers and likely immunity for almost everything else he does in office. In plain English, if a president says, "I did it as part of my job," the courts can't prosecute him. That's our new reality. That ruling didn't come out of nowhere. It upended 70 years of precedent, specifically the 1952 case Youngstown versus Sawyer, which first drew a legal line around presidential power. Here's what happened. So, during the Korean War, steel workers planned a strike. President Truman was afraid it would halt weapons production and ordered the government to seize the steel mills. He argued that his authority as commander-in-chief gave him that power. Well, the Supreme Court disagreed. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that Truman had gone too far. Justice Robert Jackson's opinion at the time became the guidepost for every president who followed. He wrote that a president is strongest when acting with Congress, weaker when Congress hasn't spoken, and weakest when acting against Congress's will. If only our freaking Congress would reclaim their power. The Youngstown case stood for decades as a reminder that the United States, we don't have kings. Even in wartime, the law still ruled. Trump versus the United States changed the equation. Youngstown asked what a president could do. Trump versus the United States asked whether he could be punished for doing it. The court's answer was, probably not. So here's my message to Mitch McConnell and Chief Justice John Roberts, who have helped make all of this possible. You know what you've done to our country, and you're going down in history as the villains you are. But I digress. Those two court cases tell a simple story. Once upon a time, there were limits on the presidency. Now, not so much. And that's what slipped out of Stephen Miller's mouth yesterday. Not a theory, but a truth. The people around this president believe he answers to no one, not Congress, not the courts, and not the voters once an election is over. We're not watching authoritarianism creep in. We're already living in it. The government isn't grabbing new power. It's normalizing the power it has already taken. Congress has stopped checking it. The courts have redefined what accountability even means. And the presidency now functions as something that resembles, I'll just say it, a dictatorship. You know, the Constitution doesn't enforce itself. It's a piece of parchment. It depends on us, citizens, teachers, lawyers, journalists, basically anyone willing to speak up and insist that the words printed on it still have meaning. We can't rescue democracy by pretending it still exists. It's something we'll have to rebuild from the ground up, together. They've already crossed the line. The question now is whether we push them back over it. That's my choice. Let's push them back over it, okay?